Phil and Zhenya, can I just say a big thank you for joining us on the channel today. We're living in troubled, unprecedented times. How have you been spending your time?
How have we been filling our time? Full of varied activities, I'd say. Exercise,
Yeah.
talking, learning new skills.
Yeah. Sign up for a few online courses, and still had time to relax and watch a bit of Doctor Who.
Yeah, I mean, as unfortunate as the overall circumstances are, it has given us time to do things that we wouldn't otherwise have had time to do. And spending time together as well, that's been a godsend. So where are we based? We're based in Birmingham.
I'm glad somebody is still watching Doctor Who. Phil, so tell me, how long have you been a photographer? And can you explain the process of becoming a full-time photographer?
I've been a photographer since 2013 professionally, but I've been taking photos pretty much my whole life. I got made redundant in 2013, and I made the choice then that I wanted to work for myself moving forward, and I've been pretty much building it up since then.
And do you specialise in any particular type of photography?
We do is wedding photography. That's what we specialise in.
As a couples team, is it good to work together? And how do you split the duties on the day?
It's been quite good to work together, because what I think is quite useful for the couple is that we split on the day of the wedding. So one of us goes to the groom and the other one goes to the bride, and in that way we make sure that we cover every single moment of that special day.
On the day, Zhenya's task is to take photos of groups.
That's it.
Just the groups. You take photos of groups and other things that are designated to her, and things that are designated to me would always be taking photos of the cake, taking photos of the bride, the creative photos type thing. So when you look at a portfolio of our wedding photos, there will be a consistency with the type of photos that are taken and the type of styles that are taken for certain things. So it's not changing all the time.
It's never easy starting a photography business in this day and age where everybody has a camera. But could you explain or talk about some of the challenges?
I think the biggest challenge would have to be at the start, building the brand and getting known out there. It's never easy to get yourself known in any type of business arena at the start. So we tackled that by providing an impeccable service. When we say we're going to do something, we deliver it. We deliver it to the high standard 100% of the time. Of course, photography is a subjective field. There will always be someone who doesn't like what you do. It's not like maths where 1 + 1 is 2 and you can't dispute that. With photography, it's your own style and it's how you see a particular event unfolding behind your lens. So we just try to be consistent and try to maintain a quality.
I like that. I like the end part where you talked about photography is subjective, and yes, what I like and what you like are two different things, and we shouldn't be dissuaded or discouraged by somebody else's opinion. Very well said. So let's go on to the prep and the post-production.
First of all, the equipment has to be on point. You know, there's nothing worse than getting there and realizing that your battery's dead, or your flash isn't working, or make sure all your parts are there, make sure all your parts are working is vital. After the event, again, back up your data straight away, because there's nothing worse than taking photos from a wedding and then realizing that you've damaged the card afterwards because you didn't back up straight away, you've lost it, or anything could happen. Anything could happen.
At the end of the day, you have to, this is the product that you've been hired for, and you have to deliver those photos.
That's true.
Post-production really takes time. Photography is not like some other parts of the day when the supplier will turn up and they'll deliver on the day and that's their thing done. Photography, videography, there is a lot involved afterwards.
Well said.
Thanks.
You guys really do make a nice couple. You can see the chemistry on the screen. I've done a few weddings as a second shooter and also as the principal main shooter. And you always have to contend with the uncle, the brother, the friend, who's also a professional or semi-professional, who has a nice camera, and he also wants to take nice photos. Is there an etiquette that guests with cameras should follow?
Yep. First of all, they should always stay out of the way of the professional photographer. They brought their camera and they want to show it off, and we will sometimes make allowances for that. Like
We've worked with for example, if a couple says that their uncle or dad used to be a professional photographer or is getting into photography, would love to talk to him and meet him before the wedding and just establish some boundaries.
Communication is key. We will always communicate with them, but again, at the end of the day, I will let them know that my rule is the rule that would need to be followed. I don't want to be taking photos down the aisle and see them hanging out with their camera obstructing my view, because at the end of the day, the wedding couple are paying us for a service, and once that day has gone, I can't return and redo that day if I've missed a shot because somebody else has their arm or camera in the way. So the etiquette is to always, okay, get your shot, keep your eye out, and have eyes on the back of your head to see where I am first of all.
I feel sorry for any guest at a wedding that steps out of line and gets in the way of your shot. Good luck to them. So let's stay on that theme. Name 3 things that make a good wedding photographer.
The first thing I can think of is being assertive. This is something that you have to learn in order to be a photographer, especially a wedding photographer or anything that involves groups, because people will try to be funny, people will try to mess around, and you don't have time for that because there is an allocated time for pictures and you're just trying to do your job. So in a very light but really assertive way, you have to tell them to do what you need them to do.
On top of being assertive, you need to be able to control and get the crowd to, I don't want to say the word like you, but to want to follow you. Because when you tell them to do something, if they don't like, you can have people there with attitude, and if they don't like you, they're going to try to make your job hard. Now you need to think of the right words to say to encourage them to want to follow what you're saying. So on the day, you're just a photographer. That's what you are. You're just a photographer. But when you're speaking, you're the king, and that's the image that you need to put across in a nice way. So get them to like you. So being likable, having charisma. Third one. Knowing your stuff.
With photography, I believe you can always develop your talent, develop your knowledge. It's not only about your equipment, it's about your eye, it's about getting inspiration and getting to know that couple beforehand.
And what inspires you?
I'm not sure if I'm going to be talking on behalf of both of us, but you feel free to chip in. I think in the first place it would be faith. We believe in God, and we believe that when we go and take pictures at a wedding, we use our talent to bless that couple, and we're very happy for them getting married. On the same tone, we got married a few years ago, and we appreciate how important that day is, and how photographers, they take out the stress if it's the right person. So we want to use our talent to give the couple a special day, the same kind of special day we had on our wedding, stress-free.
I think the inspiration is to give somebody a gift that they will remember for the rest of time. When we take photos, it can be very easy. It can be very easy to get there and just think, oh, it's another wedding, let's get this out of the way. But then I don't know about you, but I actually stop and think, you know what, this day for them is the only day, hopefully, that they're going to be getting married on. And they've been planning this day for goodness knows how long. So I need to maintain that sort of mentality in my mind that this for them is their photography day for their wedding, not just another day for us. So having that in mind, it would inspire me to take the best photos I can, to have the same energy throughout the day, and to just, give it my all. That'll be an inspiration for us, for me as well, mainly.
I see you two are dedicated to your craft. It's inspiration to me to see how hard you guys actually work. And I hope guys watching the channel understand how hard you guys are working. Thank you for that. So let's move on a little bit, and let's talk about a question that I'm always pondering. Can creativity be learned? Is it nature? Is it nurture?
Can creativity be learned? On the base standard, it's something you have or you don't have. You're born with it or you're not born with it. However, it's something that can be emulated. So if you're someone that doesn't consider yourself creative and you sat there and, I'm not creative, I can't be a photographer. If you go online, look at work that other people have done, other photographers have done, and you might not be creative, but you can appreciate that something looks good. You look at it and you go, you know what, that looks good. I want to learn how to do a photo the way that person has done that photograph. So in that respect, you can go out and take photos like that person. And there's nothing wrong with taking photos like somebody else. It's not stealing, but as long as you take the photo and you maybe put your own little twist to it, you change the lighting slightly, you do something, because every creative person has had somebody that they've looked up to and they've learned from. That's not copying, that's just adapting to your own style and to your own way of working. Now, based on that, that creativity is being learned, because you're watching somebody else, you're learning from what they're doing, and you're adapting yourself. But maybe, for some people, having a football on the floor in a living room, and you're thinking, how can I take a photo creatively of that? And you just don't know how to do it. That's fine. You're not a creative person. But without repeating myself, you can go online, type in creatively taken footballs, and then you can learn to take a photo of that football creatively. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
How important is it to work with others or work in a collaboration?
For me personally, actually, it was important in terms of my own developing my own skill. Importance-wise, that was a chance for me to go out there and perfect the skill without being pressured. So I could try new things, just collaborating out there in the field, that I couldn't do, for example, as a new photographer in a wedding. You can't try dramatic new things in a wedding if you haven't already done it and tried it and proven to yourself that it works. That's not the arena to try new things. So for me, trying new things was always a collaborative arena.
Well said. I guess it's like a trapeze artist. You don't go onto the trapeze and practice without a net. You have a net first, and then when you get confident enough, proficient enough in your skill, you can do without a net. So if you're a budding photographer and you're developing your skill, don't just buy a camera and go out there and expect to get paying clients. Go out there, learn a skill, and be the best you can. And that is achieved by practice, and a bit more practice. So what advice can you give to the post-processing process? And that's hard to say, but I managed to say it.
I remember reading quite recently of a case where a photographer was sued because he made somebody slimmer. So after reading that, I told myself, you know what? If they want to be made slimmer, they can come back and they can say, Phil, can you make these photos slimmer, whatnot? Because some people, being slightly overweight may be what they want. For some people, that mole on their chin may be a characteristic of who they are. So I don't want to get rid of things like that. So, but in terms of editing, I'll do a nice light edit to maybe make something slightly brighter, add a little bit of colour. And of course, I have my own little formula of actions that will apply to all photos on a blanket-wide basis to add my own little style to it. But I wouldn't over-edit a photo at all, at least not in my opinion anyway. As a photographer, you also need to keep in mind that your time is your money.
So as a wedding photographer, what format do you shoot in? RAW or JPEG, or both?
I think it's important to shoot in, we shoot in RAW and JPEG. So as you may know, raw photos do take up a lot of space on your hard drive, but they give you more versatility when it comes to doing the final edits. After a certain period of time, I'll then delete those raw photos, but I'll keep the high resolution JPEGs just in case. It's not really practical to keep raw photos on your hard drive indefinitely because they take up too much space, even though I've got like disgusting amount of space. Still, it takes up space.
As you know, the channel is aimed at beginners and intermediates. Could you give 3 tips or pieces of advice that you give to budding photographers that are watching this channel?
First thing I can think of is get out there and practice and take photos. And at the beginning, depending what photographer you are, you might need to do a few projects which are voluntary, but that's okay because everyone has, and you have to build your portfolio up. So take advantage of what's the information out there. There is starter programs that can help you. There's other photographers that you can shadow. There's loads of videos and blog posts and articles that you can read. It's not something that you have to necessarily go to university to study. Great if you were in the position to do so, but if you weren't, just take an advantage of everything that's out there, because the information is loads, and you can start that way. Another piece of advice:
always have fun. Try to always have fun with your art, with your craft. Always try to continue to have fun in what you're doing. If you're not having fun, then find something else.
Okay, guys, before we come to the end of the talk, what plans do you have after the lockdown has been lifted?
Sure. We honestly haven't sat down and thought about this. We're getting into a new arena of business as well, so we are learning, we're developing.
Well, a big, big, big thank you for you two coming onto the channel and sharing your experiences. You make a lovely couple, and I know from your work that you're very professional, and I shall be continually following your progress. If you're watching the channel and you want to contact them, their links will be in the description below. In the meantime, if you haven't joined the channel and you want to be a part of the community, why not like, follow, or share? For now, happy shooting and take care. Bye bye.
And thank you, Chris. You've been great.